Alright.
After waking with a jolt, the girl led, laid in her bed for a few seconds longer. Reaching out to switch on her bedside lamp, she tried to remember exactly what stolen sweet slumber away. When she couldn't, the brunette swung her legs over the side of her bed and heaved herself up. Checking the time on her phone, she snorted when she saw it was midnight, the witching hour. Knowing that sleep would only evade her, she left her bedroom for the kitchen, a good cup of coffee on her mind. As she passed by her front door, the chills spread like wicked fire down her spine. It's only winter, she told herself, focusing again on the coffee plant. Measuring up scoops of water and preparing her cup kept her occupied. As the dark liquid boiled, she had nothing left to keep her mind up from wandering off. To return, she couldn't help glance behind her to the front door. It stood there, instantly enough, just like always. The deadbolt was still in place, and she could see nothing amiss with it. Turning back to her coffee, she did her best to forget about the feeling. With her cup in hand, she started back towards her bedroom. As she walked past the front door, she decided to take a quick glance at the peephole to keep her mind. The chill worsened with every step towards the door, and further away from safety and warmth of her blankets. She pressed her empty hand against the cold metal door and took a deep breath before leading her eyes to the peephole. At first she could see an inky darkness, and somehow seemed to swirl within itself. When she blinked in surprise, the void melted away. She wished it hadn't. In its place, there stood what she could only guess was once a man. Limbs were long and inhumanly awkward, with bulky joints branching off into several arms. Not unlike the branches of a tree. The creature was draped in a black suit, somehow making the thing seem more nightmarish to her. The icing to the proverbial cake, however, was what passed as the hellish thing's face. It was as though her mind blurred the ghastly image to spare itself further shock and horror. She shoved herself away from the door with her hand still pressed against it. The scalding mug of coffee fell, the liquid burning her feet as she fell backwards and tried to crawl away from the door. She knew somehow that her mind hadn't been playing tricks on her. As she walked away from the door, she watched as tendrils as black as the void she first saw snake around through the cracks. The girl was trapped between the instinct to flee and the gut feeling that did not turn her back on the door. When the door jolted, the urge to flee overcame her, and she slipped in the burning liquid as she tried to make it back to her room. She knew deep down that she was trapping herself in a corner, but she had to get away from the door. The girl was halfway down the hall when she heard the previously locked door creak open. She screamed and slipped into a wall, cracking her chin on it and stunning herself. After that, there was only blackness. Nicole? A warm male voice snapped the woman out of her trance. As she turned around, she was met by one of her sister's doctors. She nodded, not sure if she should say anything, or even if she could find her voice, if she did have anything to say. That morning, she had gotten the urgent phone call from the hospital, saying that her sister, Lindsay, was there. Before they had even let her see her, the doctor had pulled her off to the side and insisted they talk about what happened. Phrases like self-inflicted and assault were thrown around, and Nicole left her mind unreal. She still hadn't fully understood what they had been saying until she saw Lindsay with her own eyes. The little sister with a bandage wrapped around her head, covered both of her ears as well as her eyes. They said it was to keep her now deadened eyes from drying out and try to keep infection out of the wounds. Lindsay had to keep. Sorry, I lost my place. But Lindsay had made to her ears. And the doctor had guessed that either she or someone else had jammed a pencil into them to keep her off balance or to deafen herself against something. There was a mix of first and second degree burns on her hands, legs, and feet. What was assumed to be the coffees her neighbors had found slipped all over the injured apartment. As Nicole walked into her sister's hospital room the first time, she thought she saw the silhouette of a man in the window. That she knew was impossible. The sister's room was on the 3rd floor of the hospital.
Now I'm recording.
Okay. Slender Man is depicted to be a mythical creature or an urban legend known to cover a geographical area. People who believe in Slender Man consider him to correlate with other legends around the world. When did you first hear about Slender Man?
I guess I'll start. I was scrolling through YouTube watching people do game playthroughs, and I saw someone playing a game called Slender the 8 Pages. And at first, I thought it was hilarious watching the guy scream his head off, but then things changed when I actually got the game. It's just a...
What about you, Andy?
I had heard versions of it. I wouldn't call it the Slenderman. But when I finally did come across it is when this guy showed it to me. And, yeah, it definitely gave a little more perspective as to what I thought it really was. I just thought it was just a normal man.
What about you, Tallow?
Well, it's kind of like you, Jay. I thought I wasn't scared of the game until I actually played it, and I beat it.
Oh, okay. His appearance resembles that of a man with a pale, ghostly face, but that his face is wrapped in gauze. He has been reported to have extremely long arms and legs with tentacles that come from his back. He has been seen wearing a black suit with a bowler or top hat. Tell me your first impression when you've seen Slender Man for the first time.
Now, do you mean my first time personally seeing him, like through a game, or like through the video?
Either or.
Through the game. Oh my God! That was my first reaction, pretty much. It's like, oh man, this is no shit.
What about you?
He's handsome. All peoples in suits are handsome.
Oh.
We know that.
Okay. Alan?
No, I just say, holy crap!
So he really was that scary.
Mm.
I've seen people record themselves from playing their games for the first time and their reactions when they see this man. Okay. Can you tell me any similarities or differences among those who supposedly have seen Slender Man? Does his description pretty much share what you guys have seen of him?
Generally, Slender Man stands with one general form, which is, of course, the black suit, very tall, maybe a few tentacles sticking out of his back, long arms, long legs. But there are also other forms of Slender Man that a lot of people don't realize, not generally going underneath the name of Slender Man, but same general description. But the one main characteristic that pretty much stays the same through all of them is the pitch white face.
Right.
Sticks with that. Generally, the most difference is probably a change in outfit or maybe something new. Like one version, the Kender Man actually has like a drawn-on face, and that's about it.
Okay. What has Slender Man been known to do to his victims, according to, I guess you say, folklore or legend?
Is that really answered?
There are a lot of answers to what people believe happened. Some people believe Slender Man chases you down through the woods, as most stories of him go, and he claims you and he kills you and eats you in some way. Some people believe you kind of get absorbed inside of him. Some people believe he takes you to the realm between heaven and hell.
Purgatory.
Yes, purgatory, and chases them forever.
Talon, is his victims children, adults, or a little bit of both?
A little bit of both.
A little bit of both?
Generally, the stories vary, but generally you hear about the children.
Children, yeah.
Well, I mean, if we're going based on the video games, the main character is an adult, so.
Yeah, as far as we can know.
Well, I mean, unless it's a guy with a really high voice.
Now, can you agree with people in the, I don't know, I think more so over in Europe, can you agree that Slenderman is a real creature, or is he a figment?
Oh, I definitely think it's real.
I believe the Slenderman could be a real thing. Now, I don't believe that if I ever were to come across him, I would freak out way more than I probably do in the video games, but I would try and get a photo and share my evidence.
Yeah, but that's a hard,
Yeah,
that's hard to catch.
because of, first off, you gotta find him if he does exist, and second off, one of the effects of Slenderman is that if he's shown on camera, the camera starts to fuzz up.
Right. He messes with electronics, and what do you think, Tallow? Is he a real creature, or is he a myth?
A little bit of both. People describe him as, like, the way people describe him, it seems like a myth, and it seems like a true person.
Right. Almost like a boogeyman?
Yeah. The boogeyman or some similar other creatures that fall within the same genre of internet phenomenon, like the Rake, because there are actual images of this creature out there, supposedly, not photoshopped or anything. The most famous of the Rake is just this thing running at the camera on all fours with these big black eyes.
Right.
There's supposed images of Slender.
YouTube, after the story of it, in one of the comments it says, one of my children said, why is that skinny man with those long sharp fingers out there?
Yeah.
Okay,
Another
so,
thing that I believe, if the Slenderman does exist, I believe he lives within the mind of children. So that's generally where you get most of your reports from, is children.
right.
Maybe Slenderman is just our imaginary ghost.
Could be.
That would be cute.
So, what I have researched, though, he's been cited or reported moreover around Germany,
Or Europe.
Scotland, countries like that. So, I guess it's time to wrap this conversation
I
up.
have one more thing.
What do you have to
On
say?
YouTube there's news, like it was the actual news that we watched, of Slenderman walking
Another
in here.
thing about Slenderman is that if you were to generally get a photo of him, it's generally within a scene full of people or children. And generally within the next 3 weeks.
Or a wooded area, you have to look.
Yes,
to see.
exactly. But generally there's like a group of people within the photo.
Right. He was trying to show me something about Slenderman, and I couldn't see it. He was showing me in a video game or something, and it was a wooded area, and I couldn't. He could spot Slenderman, but I couldn't.
Yeah.
Because of the long trees, and it was nighttime.
And that's another thing. Sometimes he likes to blend in with his surroundings.
Yeah.
It's very hard to see him in some pictures, and you really have to be looking.
All right. Well, I thank you guys for your help.
No problem.
Thank you very much. This is DJ, this is Andy, and this is Talon. Thank you guys.
And who are you?
Me?
Yeah,
I am Brooke.
broke.
Broke. Broke.